Have you ever wondered why women often notice the smallest things that others overlook? Why they can recall a conversation word for word from months ago? Or sense someone's mood before a single word is spoken? To many people, this feels almost mystical, like a hidden gift. But what if I told you that the answers lie in the fascinating world of female psychology? A world filled with subtle, surprising, and sometimes mind-blowing differences that shape the way women think, feel, and connect with others. Today, on Stoicism Drive, we're diving deep into the science of the female mind. Together, we'll uncover little-known facts about memory, stress, emotional intelligence, intuition, and the impact of social expectations. These insights aren't just interesting trivia. They can change the way you view yourself, your partner, your coworkers, and even your closest relationships. So, stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to discover might challenge everything you thought you knew about the female psyche. Section 1. The female brain, key differences from men. Let's begin with the foundation, the brain. Men and women don't simply think differently because of culture or upbringing. Science shows that their brains are literally wired in distinct ways. These differences are not superficial, they influence memory, problem-solving, emotions, and even how each sex experiences the world. One striking distinction is found in the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for memory and learning. Research reveals that women generally have a larger hippocampus, which helps explain why they tend to remember emotional details with incredible accuracy. If you've ever been surprised at how a woman recalls a tiny detail from years ago, the color of your shirt during an argument, or the exact phrasing of a compliment, now you know why. By contrast, men usually have a relatively larger amygdala, the part of the brain linked to fear and aggression. This makes them more responsive to immediate dangers or threats. Imagine a couple faced with a stressful situation. She might recall how the entire event felt, the emotions, the words, the expressions, while he focuses on the most urgent action to take in the moment. Both responses have evolutionary advantages, but they highlight two very different approaches to life's challenges. Another fascinating distinction lies in connectivity. Women's brains often have stronger cross-hemisphere connections, meaning they use both sides of the brain more symmetrically. In simple terms, this allows them to integrate logic with emotion, analysis with empathy. It also gives them an edge in multitasking, complex communication, and interpreting subtle social cues. In a conversation, a woman may not only process the literal words being said, but also the tone of voice, body language, and underlying emotions, all at once. Men's brains, on the other hand, often show more localized activity, meaning they may focus on one problem or thought with intense clarity. This specialization is excellent for targeted problem-solving or high-concentration tasks. But it sometimes comes at the cost of missing the emotional subtext in interactions. Now, think about relationships. How many arguments could be traced back to these brain-level differences? One partner remembers not only the facts but also the emotions of a situation, while the other recalls the straightforward action or words. Understanding these natural differences can help reduce conflict and create deeper empathy between partners, friends, and even colleagues. Section 2. Emotional intelligence, a hidden superpower. If there's one area where women often shine, it's emotional intelligence. But let's clear something up immediately. Being emotionally intelligent doesn't mean being overly emotional, weak, or irrational. Quite the opposite. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions in yourself and others. Studies consistently show that women, on average, score higher in EQ than men, and the effects ripple into almost every area of life. In professional settings, it can mean better leadership, smoother collaboration, and stronger client relationships. In personal life, it often translates to deeper emotional bonds, fewer misunderstandings, and greater empathy. Why do women have this edge? Part of it is structural. As we discussed earlier, a larger hippocampus and more symmetrical brain connectivity allow women to process and retain emotional information more effectively. But hormones also play a role, particularly oxytocin, often nicknamed the love hormone. Women typically release higher levels of oxytocin during bonding experiences like childbirth, breastfeeding, or even during affectionate gestures such as hugging or showing kindness. This hormone fosters trust, closeness, and emotional awareness. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Many people might notice the obvious, the music, the lighting, the number of guests, but a woman with high emotional intelligence may notice who seems uncomfortable, who is genuinely happy, and who is putting on a mask. That subtle awareness can change how she interacts, offering comfort or adjusting her tone in ways that others might not even think about. In business, this skill can be a game changer. A woman might pick up on hesitation in a client's tone, allowing her to address concerns before they're voiced. In leadership, it helps her build loyal, motivated teams, and in relationships, it allows for deeper emotional connection. But here's the critical point. Emotional intelligence is not about feeling everything. It's about managing emotions wisely. It's the ability to pause instead of reacting impulsively, to reframe frustration into problem solving, and to use empathy as a tool for stronger communication. Far from being a weakness, emotional intelligence is one of the greatest strengths a human being can develop, and women often have a natural head start. Section 3. Stress, a different kind of response. Most of us have heard of the fight or flight response to stress. But recent research suggests that women may often rely on another strategy entirely: tend and befriend. This concept, developed by psychologists studying gender differences, proposes that in times of stress, women are more likely to seek support, nurture relationships, and strengthen social bonds rather than focusing solely on fighting or fleeing. Why? Biology again. While both sexes release cortisol, the stress hormone, during challenging moments, women's bodies also release higher levels of oxytocin. This hormone counters cortisol's negative effects, promoting calmness and connection rather than aggression or fear. From an evolutionary perspective, this made perfect sense. Women throughout history often carried the responsibility of protecting children and maintaining social alliances, so responding with connection rather than confrontation increased survival. Fast forward to today, and you can still see this pattern play out. Under stress, women often call a close friend, confide in family, or seek advice from coworkers. Men, by contrast, may prefer to withdraw into solitude or tackle a problem head-on, focusing on tasks instead of emotions. Neither approach is wrong, but here's the catch. When these differences collide in a relationship, misunderstandings are almost inevitable. A woman may crave closeness during stress, while her partner withdraws, leaving her feeling abandoned. Recognizing and respecting these differences can create healthier coping strategies and stronger support systems for both sides. Interestingly, this tend and befriend response may also explain why women are often seen as natural peacemakers in families, workplaces, or communities. By reducing conflict, prioritizing harmony, and seeking cooperation, they help stabilize social groups, a role that benefits everyone. Section 4. Memory and conversation. Why women remember more. Have you ever been in a disagreement where she recalls every detail, the exact words, the tone, the timing, while you barely remember the conversation? It can feel frustrating, but there's solid science behind it. Women generally excel at remembering emotional details. This is not just anecdotal, studies confirm it. The hippocampus, once again, plays a starring role. Since women's hippocampus tends to be larger, they can store and recall emotionally charged memories with greater clarity. But it's not only brain size. Women's attentiveness to emotional cues during interactions means they're recording far more data than many men. They notice subtle changes in tone, slight shifts in facial expression, or small gestures, things that embed themselves into memory. This skill can be incredibly valuable. In relationships, it allows for deeper understanding. A woman might not just remember what was said during an argument, but how it was said. That awareness helps her see the emotional context, which in turn can guide resolution and healing. In professional environments, this memory advantage can be just as powerful. Women may recall the fine details of a client's preferences, a coworker's past suggestions, or even the unspoken dynamics of a meeting. In collaborative projects, where nuance and detail matter, this can provide a competitive edge. Of course, this doesn't mean men have bad memories. It's simply that women's brains tend to prioritize and encode emotional details more strongly, giving them an advantage in situations where context and emotion matter most. Section 5. Intuition, myth or reality? Women's intuition. You've heard the phrase 1,000 times. But is it just a cultural stereotype? Or does science support the idea? Intuition is often defined as the ability to understand something instinctively, without conscious reasoning. It's that gut feeling that something is right, or very wrong, even before the evidence is clear. Both men and women experience intuition, but research suggests women often rely on it more effectively, especially in social and emotional situations. Why? One reason is heightened sensitivity to nonverbal cues. Women are generally more skilled at reading micro-expressions, subtle shifts in body language, and tone of voice. These small signals, often processed subconsciously, form the foundation of intuitive judgments. There's also a holistic component. Women's brains are thought to integrate information across regions more fluidly, combining subconscious data with conscious reasoning. This creates a more complete picture that often manifests as a gut feeling. Imagine a business deal. On paper, everything looks perfect, yet something feels wrong. A woman might notice a client's nervous gestures or hesitation in tone and instinctively sense that something is off. While intuition isn't foolproof, it can be influenced by bias or past experience. It often serves as a powerful tool when time or information is limited. So, is women's intuition fact or fiction? The evidence suggests it's very real. It doesn't mean women are psychic or always right, but their brains are wired to pick up on the subtle signals that most people miss, and that can make all the difference. Section 6. The weight of societal expectations. No exploration of female psychology would be complete without addressing the role of society. Biology shapes much of the female mind, but culture and expectations shape just as much. From childhood, many girls are taught to prioritize emotional labor, smoothing over conflicts, caring for others, and putting harmony above their own needs. While these skills can become strengths, they often come with a heavy burden. Women may feel pressured to constantly be the peacekeepers, even at the cost of their own well-being. Societal double standards also influence how women express emotions. They're often expected to be nurturing and empathetic, but criticized if they're seen as too emotional or irrational. This impossible balance can create inner conflict and self-doubt. And then there's the relentless focus on beauty and body image. Women are bombarded with messages about how they should look, dress, and behave. This pressure can fuel anxiety, insecurity, and even depression. But here's the powerful shift. Women today are pushing back. Movements like feminism, body positivity, and self-acceptance are challenging these outdated norms. Women are rewriting what it means to be strong, beautiful, and authentic. They're embracing individuality, celebrating diversity, and demanding space to be themselves, without apology. Conclusion. Understanding female psychology for deeper connections. So, what have we discovered? Female psychology is not a list of quirks or stereotypes. It's a complex, beautifully interwoven system shaped by both biology and society. From a larger hippocampus that strengthens memory, to higher emotional intelligence that enhances empathy, to the tend and befriend response that fosters connection, women carry unique strengths that influence every part of life. By understanding these differences, we don't just learn more about women, we learn more about ourselves. We can communicate better, build stronger relationships, and create spaces where both men and women thrive. So the next time you're amazed at a woman's ability to recall a tiny detail, sense someone's emotions instantly, or handle stress with quiet resilience, remember, it's not an accident. It's part of the incredible design of the female mind. If you found today's journey eye-opening, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to Stoicism Drive, and share this video with friends. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you most? Let's start a conversation and keep learning together. Because the more we understand psychology, the more we understand each other. And that, in the end, is the key to stronger, more meaningful connections.